Hola clase. I am at home. It is Sunday afternoon, so I thought I would make a little video on how to go ZCO and irregular verbs. I am assuming a lot of you are rusty on these verbs, and there may be a lot of you that haven't even heard of these verbs. So I'm going to go over them as if I were teaching in class. It's probably best to have a piece of paper and write notes on what I go over, and then you will be filling in the Go ZCO irregular verbs chart. So if you have these written on a piece of paper, you can just transfer them into the chart that is in Google Classroom and turn that back into me. Okay, so the first verbs we are going to go over are go verbs. Some people call these yo-go verbs because the go ends in an O, which means it only happens for the yo form. So there will only be a GO in the yo form. Okay, so let's look at these verbs. I have these in different categories to try to help you guys learn them a little easier. So the first category that I have are what I consider the easy go verbs. And the reason why they are easy is because only the yo form is different, and then every other form will just be conjugated normally. So the first one we're going to do is hacer. Hacer means to do or make. So I have this cloud looking thing here to show you that you are only going to be looking at the yo form. Okay, so the yo form of hacer is hago. So that is very different than hacer. The yo form is hago. Notice it ends in a go, which makes it a go verb. But the rest of them are going to be conjugated normally. So hacer is an ER verb, so we're going to put ER endings on it. So the to form is haces. Notice there is no G because the G only goes in the yo form. So the usted form is just a regular ER verb, so it is going to be hace. All right, the nosotros form, again, just a regular ER verb, so it is going to be hacemos. Make that look a little bit better. And we're getting there. There we go, hacemos. The vosotros form is going to be a regular ER verb, so it is hacéis. And that should have an accent over the E, so let me put my accent. There we go, hacéis. And then the last one is going to be hacen. Okay, so for the next verb is poner, is to put or place. So notice I have my cloud, which means only the yo form is going to have the GO. And the yo form of poner is pongo. All right, so since that's the only go verb with the GO, the rest is going to be conjugated normally. So the to form is just pones with no G. The usted form is going to be pone. The nosotros form is going to be ponemos. The vosotros form is going to be ponéis, and again it has an accent over the E. And then the ustedes form is going to be ponen. All right, moving on to valer. Valer is to be worth, like to value. Again, yo form is the only one that has a G. It is valgo. All right, the to form is going to be no G, regular ER, so it is vales. The usted is going to be vale. The nosotros is going to be valemos. Whoops. Let's try that again. Valemos. There we go. Vosotros will have an accent on the E, so it is vales. And then the ustedes form is valen. All right, moving on to salir. That is to leave or go out. Salir is different than the other three because these three are ER verbs, but salir is an IR verb. So it's going to have the same pattern, but you have to put IR endings on it. All right, so that means the yo form is going to have the G, so it is going to be salgo. The to form is just like the others, sales. Even though it's an IR verb, it still has an ES. The usted is sale. Here's where it gets a little different. The nosotros form is an IR verb, so it becomes salimos with an I. The vosotros form, IR verb, so it is going to be salís, accents on the I. And then the ustedes form is salen. So there you have all of the easy go verbs, hacer, poner, valer, and salir, all conjugated for you. All right, moving on to the next category. I call these the IGO verbs, and I also call them identical twins because they look exactly like each other. So traer means to bring, and caer means to fall. So I'm going to kind of do these together so you can see how they look exactly alike. All right, so traer, since it's an IGO verb, we're going to write TRAIGO, which is traigo. And then caer is going to be the exact same, but with a C. So that is going to be CAIGO, which is caigo. Now the rest of them are going to be absolutely normal. So the to form is traes. The to form of caer is caes. Then the usted form of traer is trae. The usted form of caer is cae. These are both ER verbs, so the nosotros form of traer is traemos. And then the vosotros form of caer is caemos. That's not right. Let's try that again. Caemos. There we go. All right, vosotros, ER verb, so it is going to be traes. And then vosotros is going to be caes. And then ustedes is going to be traen. And then ustedes caer is going to be exactly like traen, caen. Okay, so there are your IGO verbs, identical twins because they look exactly like each other. Now that brings me to the next one, which are E to IE verbs, which are fraternal twins. And the reason why I call them fraternal twins and not identical is because they are very similar, but they have one difference. One's an ER verb, one's an IR verb. So you can't just copy them to each other. But again, they look almost exactly alike, but there's just one small difference with their endings. All right, so the yo form of tener, which you might know it is tengo. Like yo tengo 16 años. The yo form of venir looks exactly like that. It is vengo. To form, notice I have this like an L right here. The reason why I have the L is because the E to IE is going to happen in these three and not in these two. So what that looks like is tienes, kind of like cuántos años tienes. How many years do you have? That's where that verb comes from. So venir is going to look very similar, but it's going to have a V. So it is vienes. The usted of tener has the IE because it's in the L, is tiene. And the usted form of venir is viene. Nosotros is where it becomes different. Tener is an ER verb, so it is tenemos. But venir is an IR verb, so it is going to be venimos. Vosotros form of tener, it's an ER verb, tenéis. And the vosotros form of venir is venís. And that didn't come out right. Let's try that again. Venís. Oh my goodness. Let's try it again. Venís. There we go. All right, the ustedes form of tener is tienen. So notice we went back to the IE because we are in the L. And then the ustedes of venir is vienen. Okay, so that's your fraternal twins. We had the identical twins before, which are right here, trier and caer. And then we had the fraternal twins, which are tener and venir. The last two go verbs, I just call them weird verbs because that's just kind of how they are. So let me just conjugate them for you so you can see how they are so weird. All right, decir is to say or tell. The yo form of decir is digo. The tu form of decir is dices. So notice it has an I instead of an E. The usted form of decir is dice. If you've heard como se dice dog in español. Dice, how do you say? That's where this comes from. All right, nosotros decir, it's an IR verb, and it's just going to be regular. So D-E-C-I-M-O-S. Lord. Let's try that again. Let's take one of these D's away. All right, there we go. Decimos. And then the vosotros form is decís. Okay, and the ustedes form is dicen. Okay, so that is decir, and that is how you conjugate decir in all 6 forms. All right, oír I've left for the last because it is the most weird. All right, the yo form of oír is O-I-G-O. So that one is super weird because it adds the I and the G. So it's kind of like an IGO verb, but not really because of what happens next. All right, so oigo, then we have oyes, O-Y-E-S. So there is a Y randomly stuck in there. And there is a reason for that, because if you put O-I-E-S, it's just a bunch of vowels and it doesn't have anything to give it substance. So therefore they have to add the Y. So the Y is going to be in the usted form, oye. Now the nosotros form is the most normal. It is oímos. The vosotros form is also normal. It is oís. And then the last one is the ustedes, and that is back with the Y as oyen. Okay, so those are all the go verbs. So what I'm going to do now is just go over the irregular verbs. I'm leaving the ZCO verbs for last because they're the easiest to do. Once you know how to do one ZCO verb, you can do all of them. Okay, so irregular verbs, you might know some of these. So we have ser, to be temporary, and to conjugate that, we have the yo form, which you know is yo soy. The tu form is eres, like de donde eres. The usted form is es. like ella es muy bonita. The nosotros is somos. Vosotros is sois. And then the ustedes is son. Okay, estar, to be. Now, we have two to be's. Ser's temporary. Actually, those are absolutely wrong. And it's not going to let me fix it, is it? Okay, so ser is not temporary. That should have been permanent. I made that mistake, and I apologize. Permanent. And then estar is not permanent. That one should be temporary. And what that means is to say, like, I am tall would be a permanent thing. You would use ser. To say, like, the school is near my house. That is a location, which it doesn't really make too much of sense, but it could possibly move so it becomes temporary. Another good example of temporary is like if I ask you ¿Cómo estás? That is temporary because I'm asking you how you're feeling. Obviously, moods change, so tomorrow you could be not good. So that is the reason why we use estar instead of ser. You wouldn't, if you ask ¿Cómo eres? Like how are you? Permanent, that means like how are you as a person or how are you physically? Okay, so on the quiz, when I ask you the difference between ser and estar, you will see permanent for ser and temporary for estar. All right, so conjugating estar, you might know this one. All right, the yo form is, oh my goodness, estoy. The tu form, like ¿Cómo estás? Is estás. And one thing you have to note is it has an accent over the A. If you do not put the accent, it will be counted wrong, and also it will mean this instead of you are. Then we have está, accent. The nosotros form, estamos. Sorry. All right, then the vosotros form, estáis, accent over the A. The ustedes, están, accent over the A. So the bottom four have accents. All right, dar is to give. The yo form of dar is doy. The tu form of dar is das. The usted form is da. Nosotros is damos. Vosotros is dais. And this does not require an accent because one syllable words normally don't have accents on them. Some of them do because it just makes them mean something totally different. And then ustedes is dan. All right, ir, to go, to say I go or I am going, is voy. The tu form is vas, V-A-S. The usted form is va. The nosotros, vamos. Vosotros, vais. There's no accent because it is a one-syllable word. And then ustedes is van. So we have 3 more irregulars to go over. All right, the first one is ver, and that's to see. The yo form is veo. The tu form is ves, V-E-S. The usted form is ve. Nosotros is vemos. Vosotros is veis. No accent because it is one syllable. And then ustedes is ven. All right, saber. This is to know information. We have another verb that means to know, and it's in the ZCO section. Conocer is to know people. So this is specifically to know information. All right, the yo form, a lot of people get this one wrong because they think it's sabo, but it is not. It is actually se, and that does have an accent. It is only one syllable. It requires an accent because if I take off the accent, it will mean something else in Spanish. The to form is sabes. The usted form is sabe. The nosotros form is sabemos. Sorry. It bothers me if it's not all in the same line. There we go. All right. Vosotros is sabes. Accents over the E. And ustedes is saben. All right, last one is caber. The yo form of caber is quepo, Q-U-E-P-O. And that is really weird. So it is not cabo. You cannot say C-A-B-O. It is not cabo. It is quepo, Q-U-E-P-O. The to form is cabes. The usted form is cabemos. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking, but it's distracting me. And my daughter is singing very loudly. All right, vosotros is cabes. That's not right. Let me try that again. Cabes. C-A-B-E-I-S, and the accents over the E. And the last one is caben. All right, so that is all of your irregular verbs. We have ser, estar, dar, ir, and then ver, saber, and caber. All right, last thing is the ZCO verbs. All right, ZCO verbs are super easy to conjugate. The only form that is affected by ZCO is the yo form. The rest of the forms are conjugated normally. So I'm only going to do one example. And what I want you to do after this example is to go back on your chart and do all ZCO verbs just like this. So what happens in the yo form, conocer is to know people. So all you do is insert a Z before the C and then add O. So it will look like this, C-O-N-O, Z-C-O, okay? So all you have to do is insert that Z before the C, and how you pronounce that is conozco. If you didn't have the Z, it would just be conozco, and that doesn't sound pretty and flowy, so they put a Z there to make it conozco. But what happens in all the other forms is there is no Z, and you just conjugate it normally. This is an ER verb, so it would just be conoces. The usted would be conoce. The nosotros will be conocemos. Let's try that again. Make it fit. There we go. And then vosotros conocéis, accent over the E, and ustedes is conocen. Okay, so when you go and do all your ZCO verbs on your chart, you have to be careful because we have mostly ER verbs as ZCO verbs, but we also have IR verbs. There are 3 IR verbs that are in the ZCO section that you have to be careful and put IR endings on it. So what you will do now is you will go and fill in all the information in on your Go ZCO and Irregular chart, and you will finish all the rest of the ZCO verbs and then turn that chart back into me so I can know that you listened to this video and you have all your Go verbs correctly, you have all your irregular verbs correct on your chart, and then I can check your ZCO verbs and make sure that you were able to follow this pattern. Again, there are some IR verbs, so you have to be careful with that. All right, so this is the end of this video. Hopefully this helped, and you can go in and fill in your chart now. Adios, clase.